Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on managing multiple databases in DB Artisan. I'm your host, Anil Mahadev, and presenter for today. And with me is my esteemed colleague, Darren Fulmer, and we'll get started. DB Artisan, at the very heart of it, is our flagship database administration solution. And with DB Artisan, it helps you to connect to a host of database platforms. Like, for example, here I have a couple of ODBC servers. Here I have a couple of Oracle servers that I can connect to, and I have a SQL server. For the purposes of today's presentation, I'll just focus on SQL Server, but the same applies to the various other database platforms. Right now, here on the left-hand side is where you can actually look at the Explorer window. So this is the Database Explorer. Then here you have our welcome page that actually takes you through what exactly is DB Artisan, and you can get started with some videos, the Data Source Explorer, what's new, go through the documentation, our Resource Center, etc. Here, what we have is on the Data Source Explorer is our various data sources. Now you can easily go ahead and register a new data source by giving it a group name, or you can just click on the Register Data Source Server, and these are all the newest ways of registering a database. Next, what we have is the actual server once we have connected. Then here on the right-hand side, it gives you all the metadata about your server. And here, if I go and filter out, I can actually go ahead and see what filtering options I have. So I can actually go ahead and filter and only show my objects, which I'm connected to. Or you can just take a look at ignore system level objects. And now I can then focus on the user objects by going into server, going to the version, and it tells you which version of the SQL Server is. You can explore the configuration areas of your particular database server. Then here you have the error logs, you have the triggers. And this is where you can actually go under the storage section and go ahead and create your backup devices, data files, and it gives you all the lists and all in this nice graph that it tells you whether if a data file can grow or not. Then obviously you have file groups. Here you can look at the primary file groups and look at the log groups as well. Then here you have the log files. So this is where all of your logs reside. And here you can actually go ahead and look at the logins, the server roles, any kind of link servers, and any remote servers that you have. Next, we'll take a look at the databases. Here you can see all the list of databases. Here, for example, if I were to explore the Wide World Importers database, I can actually go in here and right-click on one of the tables and say, select Start From. Now here you can see that I have the ability to look at all of this data. Now I can also go ahead and customize. I can right-click here and just say View as HTML. That gives me a nice HTML view. And I can view it as a grid, or I could just view it as ASCII here. So you have a lot of options. Next, what we'll do is I'll go ahead and go back and I'll write some queries here. So for here, if I just say application cities, comma, then I do my IntelliSense. I can just get it from sales.customers. You can do where AC dot. I do the token here. I can see if there's any kind of columns or IntelliSense that's available. But since these are not related tables, you may not get that from there. But if I do a where, I can do city name, like a percentage to get me all the list of cities from this area. There you go. So here I have this. I can get all of this metadata information here. Now, what's really cool about this is you can actually go ahead and pinpoint all of these here, and you can right-click. If you're working with any kind of test data, you can actually say generate insert statements, and you can go ahead and have this generated for you. And you can go ahead and click OK. And this is very much useful for if you're working with test data and you want to have some sort of test data. You can make sure that you have a sample schema that you can export, and that sample schema can go ahead and work with this. Next, what we'll do is here you can go under application countries, and here again, if I go and look at this data here, I can look at all the list of countries. And if I wanted to go and explore the object properties, I can either do that or I can just click on open. And this is where you can actually explore the properties of this and look at the indexes. Go to the temporal area, and this has with the history table system versioning, which is on. Look at all the metadata associated with this. So DB Artisan makes it really, really easy for you to get to the information that you need to be. Next, let's say that if I'm interested in extracting any of this information, I can actually go ahead and extract this. There we go. Then if I wanted to, excuse me, if I wanted to go ahead and migrate, I can actually go ahead and migrate this to a particular server. If I want this to a different database, I can go ahead and have this script lined up for me and execute it. What also makes DB Artisan pretty awesome is our analyst packs. So here, if you look, we have our capacity analyst. This is where you can perform capacity planning, everything in advance. So we provide you with data-driven wizards that you can actually go ahead and work with. That's one. And then you have the performance analyst. The performance analyst is an ad hoc, excuse me, is an ad hoc solution for getting all of your performance metrics here. So here you can just go and look at the memory that it's consuming. Plus you can go and look at the buffer cache hit ratio. Everything looks pretty good. The database is having really good activity. And then here I can actually go ahead and explore the space with the file and file groups. And if I go under databases, I can get all of this in one single grid. So I have that. Then you obviously have the users. So you can see which user is actively doing this, which reads, which writes, which one is CPU intensive, etc., things of that nature. And here you can actually go ahead and hit the home button. And then if you're having an operating system login, you just have to put in the host name, and you can do that. Then you have the top session. This is very interesting for all the DBAs that are watching this. You can get all of your top sessions running here. And if you go to alarms, this is where you can see all of the alarms have been triggered in the performance analyst, and you can just go to the applicable page, and it takes you straight there to the applicable page. And then if you wanted to change the graph types, you can change it here for an area graph, a pie graph, or a bar graph, etc. And then if you want to go to the details, you can just right-click and say details. Next, what we have is our refresh. And then we have our threshold maintenance. So the threshold maintenance enables you to set ad hoc maintenance with regards to this. So you can actually go ahead and just see all of these areas. Now, this is the default one, but if you wanted to add your own custom, you can actually go ahead and add all of these here in place. And last but not least, we have the space analyst. The space analyst, as the name suggests, helps you to look at all of the space on your various databases, gives you a nice quick heat map here, and it shows you all the list of databases. And finally, if you look at the objects, you can actually go into this. You also have the space management wizard that you can actually go ahead and create a task. So you have all of these created, reorg jobs, space maintenance, standard reorg. You can have all of these. And all of these have been built in, so you don't have to do them yourself. So that's where, again, DB Artisan shines and gives you all of the flexibility in terms of that. Now, here, if you look at it, you can look at which one from which application you want the reorg. So here, I'll just pick these. And then if I perform any customizations, I can just say perform global. And I can relocate this to the appropriate file groups, perform online reorg if it supports it. If not, you can just also view it here as well. So now the other aspects about DB Artisan is our utilities, where you can actually go ahead and do schema extraction, schema migration, schema publication. So let's do a schema publication. So let's do, for example, I want to publicize this to a, let me go to the application schema. And here I just want to publish the tables. Just hit finish. It's just going to go ahead and start performing the publication. It's generating the thing here. And then once we do that, you should be able to save it as a CSV and then do that there. The next thing that you have is in our browse area. This is where you can actually go ahead and browse all of the different areas here of the database. And last but not the least, here you have the new project center, where you can go ahead and create a new database project, extract the DDLs and work with them. You can also go ahead and log all the SQL that's been running, and you can record that by just enabling this. Next is our script library. So here, if you're working with multiple database platforms, we bring you the ability to work with different scripts. So for example, here I look at Microsoft. If I double click on this, I can click on OK. It goes and generates all the scripts that I'm looking for. So if I'm looking for login, I can go ahead and execute that if I'm interested in. So here you can see all of this here as well. And last but not the least, in our tools menu, if you have our database search, here you can actually go ahead and search across servers and search for, let's say, tables that are there for a particular set, say customer. So here, if I go ahead and search it, it's going to go ahead and find me everywhere. There's customers in all different schemas. Again, really a time saver. So that's where DB Artisan is really shines. And if you're interested in this table, you can actually go ahead and open the editor by editing the table, or you can just go ahead and extract this. So you can extract it to an iSQL window as well. Next, what's cool about DB Artisan is the ability for having the ability to also go ahead and execute scripts. So you can actually go ahead and execute scripts across servers. Then you have a file execution. Then you have a scheduler, a visual diff between the source and target scripts. Then you have a query builder. Here you can take a look at the query builder that you can actually go ahead and drag and drop elements. So I can choose them and just say add. And there you go. So now it's right here, got the relationship. So now all I got to do is just click on these. So if you work with Microsoft Access or any of the other tooling out there, you can see that it's building the script. So all I got to do now is just copy the script, then do a new iSQL window, and paste it, run it. There you go. So that in a nutshell was how you can work with DB Artisan and multiple databases here. And you can go to the IDERA website. And from the IDERA website, you would click on products. And then at the top, you'll have, it may tell you DB PowerStudio. Click on that. And then if you scroll down, you can see DB Artisan there. And you can request a free, no obligation 14-day trial. And we're more than happy to give you a more in-depth one-on-one demo for you and your team. And with that, we would like to thank you for your time and hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.